Here we are again, talking about another goofy subject. Tom Brenier in the house. How are you, sir? Orphaned Entertainment.
I'm good. How are you?
Shifter co-host. I'm doing fabulous. We thought for one of his many guest spots, I just thought, hey, let's go with a campy subject. This is something that's like not going to be informative, but not be over, like, will just wipe us out by the end of this.
Well, I am all up for this particular topic.
1000%. So, we decided, we're always doing a Mystery Science Theater thing. It's one of many subjects we're always able to revisit. And, we've already done the season reviews. Now we have to just kind of talk about our favorite moments or by season breakdowns, like what's the best of this era. And it got to me where I was just like, one thing I noticed is everyone picks a team on which of the bots they dig the most. And I was like, see, that's material in and of itself. Obviously, we'll talk about the difference between that and Rift Tracks and the Mads are back and Cinematic Titanic, and even all the other sister shows like Joe Bob and Elvira and Svengoolie. But when you have
I'm
to
not
actually
familiar with all of them.
well, that's the other joy of it too. Like people are able to find older stuff that's uploaded from old tapes versus see the new stuff and then go back to the new. And kudos to the Gizmoplex. I'm a member of that. They got virtually everything you can legally get on there, and there's still 5 missing, but that's better than having to figure out, hey, can I watch it on free on Pluto with ads or Tubi?
Yeah.
And
Shout Factory.
Yep, Shout Factory. And but one common thing is, who is the number one bot? And I've varied. I was kind of Team Servo growing up, and then I kind of became Team Crow, but it might flip. It might flip again in 20 years, because
that's kind of the thing. Either of the bots, they affect a certain mood.
Yes, they get you in a certain daze, in a certain setting.
Yeah, because Servo, and I tend to lean toward Tom. Namesake and all. But
one of the first puppets I got.
Yeah, aside from the fact that I thought he was kind of a very creative look. The fire plug looking,
the gumball and yelling
robot with the hands that don't do anything.
Yeah, slinky,
and the hover skirt that never. It wasn't till the more current iterations that they played around with that at all.
But prior to that, he was.
But prior to that, he is basically a guy on a stick. So
Crow, we were joking, is kind of a prude, but not perverted, but still making some off-color remarks. While Servo is kind of the guy who gets everyone excited, but he kind of fills with dignity because, like you say, he has all this stuff he does, but we never see it, so you don't know if he can do it.
He's the sophisticated bot of the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were to put him in those camps, Servo's your white collar dude, enjoys music and higher brow kind of content, and Crow's your Joe Six-Pack guy, kind
there
of robot.
Go. The blue collar guy who comes
the blue collar guy
football after work.
Appreciates a good beer and a dog, and that's kind of your guy.
And shares his playboys with you. I don't know. Yeah,
absolutely. And he has the tendency to be the slightly more cruder of the.
He says it without actually saying it, but it's a matter of time. It's like, hey, baby.
Yeah. And then. But then you get those other moments, and this is about the evolution of the series unto itself. It's so fascinating that this show that's just about making fun of films, and not even making fun of them, and that's what Chris and I at Time Shifters Podcast have talked about in the past. Earlier versions used to very much pick on the circumstance of the film,
right?
They took something, drew something out of that, and made fun of the moment or brought something that was obviously not there for
something they didn't do as much later on. But I always dug, hey, what if this character could interact with him? You have one of your comedians do an impression of him, and
right, or they even interjected something that wasn't there, or or even just watching it in your own head, you wanted to say something in
Absolutely.
that
I want to know about this interesting character who's only on screen for 5 minutes. I want to know about this awesome weapon or giant robot that's not even used in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, like I'm even flashing immediately to the bots being fully enamored with Mega Weapon.
Yes. Oh my God. That Warrior of the Lost World is so underrated. So is Gucio and Final Justice, and even Mike playing Silvio, that one, not Silvio, the one tyrant in I think it's Escape 2000, where he's like, hey, he gets to be an Italian mob boss guy who supposedly died, but he's like, no, I'm still alive.
Well, and now you have me flashing to a moment from possibly my favorite of the Mystery Science Theaters, the Danger Death Ray episode.
Yes, the spy episodes are so underrated. I love those in the Sword and Sorcery, but most people will just go back to like the creature features and detective movies.
Oh yeah, no. In fact, I've told this story on our show before. My introduction to Mystery Science Theater was coming across it randomly on the Comedy Channel when it was called the Comedy Channel,
right
before it turned to Comedy Central. So this was an early season, and I see this black and white movie, and I hadn't caught that there were figures sitting in chairs. I just saw the black and white movie. I'm like, what is this movie doing on Comedy Channel?
And they don't air this kind of movie typically.
And then as I listen to what's happening, all of a sudden I hear, and I believe it was Servo going, "The hills are alive." Oh, maybe not. And I just busted out laughing. And that was the episode for The Ring of Terror, which was a terrible, terrible film. And then I just became fully in love with
which one
this.
was that Ring of Terror. 1962. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
1 point. Yeah.
With the old school. And all of that. But that's the first time I ever saw Mystery Science Theaters. That was the time that I discovered them, and that's actually when I introduced my co-host to the show, and we would start watching them fairly regularly. But that notion that you play with the material of the film and add to it in some capacity.
Yeah.
And that is what I really liked about the show and the interaction, and then the notion
and how not everyone can do it. Like
not everyone can do it.
This goes back to improv. You remember the Who's Line film dub? Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like not everyone can do that on the spot. Everyone's so often focused with how can I be funny? I'm like, well, you're funny if you just react, not how can I stage this or write this a certain way and insert it.
No, I'd be enamored to sit in like a go back in time to that time and sit in the writer's room as they had to watch this thing over and over again, and then they just pick out the best of the comments that came out of just watching.
Have you ever seen any of those behind the scenes videos where they show one of the people on the typewriter dictating what they're saying? With the time code, and it is just fascinating because this is during sci-fi era, but it was like the same thing they've been doing for years. It's like, see, if only a writing room worked like that nowadays. Now you hear horrible stories about how people are still like threatening to punch each other out or gonna leave if they can't keep this one plot twist or something. And it's like, yeah, but with comedy, like you gotta all be I heard a great interview on Basic when cable was cool, which talks about which has a lot of people who worked at Viacom and all the other UPN and MTV stations, and they had Jon Stewart on, and he talked about how he had to set everybody down and remind them back in the day, hey, you can't be attached to a joke.
Right.
Can you always use it somewhere else down the road? It might not work for this segment tonight or for this week for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
But if you only care about your one fart joke that you're getting in there, then then just hang it up now, because like that's not fair to everybody else who also wants to get their material in.
No, and you have to be open to that. It's in the moment kind of thing. This might be funny, but something might be better. Yeah. You have to get out of the way for that. But then it doesn't mean that material, it doesn't fit somewhere else down the road. So, and I can only imagine what it's like sitting there when you have to make commentary on existing properties. It does take a little of the pressure out that you don't have to create the main content. You just have to create the filler content.
Exactly.
So, but the thing that really fascinates me and why we're having a conversation about which bot camp might you be in is the notion that this goofy little concept, the idea that we're going to, all the things that people did naturally in a theater, if you saw something, and it could even be a good movie, you just might find you have a different twist or take on that moment. And whether you say it out loud or not, it's there. Joel latched on to that notion and turned it into a series, but not just that we're going to do this, that I made characters too. Now I've written actual characters into this show, and we've all become attached to them. So the fact that we can have a conversation about these puppets that we've developed and created a personality, a life, and breathed it into these, and they were there just for the purpose of making fun of these films.
Exactly.
It's insane that that's a thing. And it's one of those things because, like some of the stuff we talked about as we led up into the recording, it's now split into eras.
So many eras.
Yeah. So when we talk Tom Servo and Crow T Robot, you have to also go, are we talking Trace Ballou? Are we talking...
Trace is actually my favorite host, and he's not even the main host. I just like his sense of villainy where he's Did you think I was going to give
Trace?
Did you think I was going to give you an easy way out?
and then... Like, I can't watch first season Mystery Science Theater because, and I'm blanking on the voice actor for Tom Servo.
Josh Hudson as,
Yes.
Fair enough.
But that take on Tom was so bland and so dry that it didn't work. It wasn't until Kevin Murphy stepped into the role.
This is where each episode also varies because sometimes the movie's so bad it's hard to enjoy the jokes, and other times the movie's perfect, but the host segments are kind of meh, not really related. So you always get the hit and miss.
That is the up and down of the entire show and series.
You got to be in a certain mood. I mean, it's literally made for 4 a.m.
Oh yeah, and then you have the Comedy Channel, Comedy Central era, which is probably the golden age of Mystery Science Theater.
And don't you find ironic that every single distributor before they made the Gizmoplex never realized what they had?
Right.
Comedy, hated it. Sci-fi, hated it. Netflix, didn't give a shit.
Right. Netflix just wanted content. Here, make content.
Yeah, they didn't care if it was funny or not.
They got crowdfunded to get started in the first place, so it didn't even really cost them anything.
And I saw the live shows, and the fans are just always lovely in person. And if they don't like something, they won't bicker or anything. They'll be like, "Hey, Joel's too old for me. Well, Jonah talks too fast, or Mike's a little over the top." It's like, well, hey, whatever floats your boat, dude. Just don't be a jerk about it.
Right, exactly. And most people just save that for online.
Yeah, I have been in a few different groups and had to get rid of some people who were just acting like anything without Mike was garbage, or Joel is ripping them off, asking for crowdfunding. It's like, oh my God, but get out of the house once in a while.
Yeah, no, if those are your hot button items, you need more in your life.
Jonah had a hysterical joke before he was getting started where he's like, at worst, it's going to be a Doctor Who situation where I'm the worst of the doctors.
Well, and
people will say I'm not Joel or Mike, and it's like, no shit.
In Jonah's time during the Netflix iteration of it, my only commentary for any of that is they wouldn't let the movie run. They had to constantly quit
they got a little bored with the movie half the time, and something they hadn't really done since season 1, where someone would have exposition and they'd be like, "Hey, look at these boring people." But
well,
yeah,
and
they did
that
a
was
little
the
much
struggle with the first season, and I imagine the old public access version is early days. Joel struggled with actually putting content in when you needed it. So sometimes you'd sit there watching this terrible movie, and we were just sitting there watching the terrible movie with them, and like, no, now you need to say something.
Yeah, half the time you would remark, "Hey, the puppetry's kind of funny, but I'm waiting for you to make."
Where's the joke?
And sometimes they would have little small ones there, but you had to be in a certain mood. Like when some actor looks very confused, they'll say "line please," or they'll make a Three Stooges sound effect, and like, I need more of that and less of the obscure references to 50 shows. I when I was grateful to see the Mads are back live back in 2017.
Oh yeah.
I loved how Frank would keep calling off to the audience when he could tell the audience didn't understand a reference. He's like, "Google that shit."
Well, and that's what I was always fascinated with is, and thinking about this came up in the 80s and 90s. So when this was created, their wealth of knowledge to put against that, I'm like, man.
Before the internet, when you only had they had what I had, which is just film history books, but you couldn't find all those movies on Turner Classic or even at every other video store. So it was like, how do you?
Yeah, so it was insane that they had this level of knowledge and intellect that was going into some of these jokes. And like,
I see people now talk about our favorite comedies, like anything from The Office or Community, and I'm like, yeah, but not all that kind of humor would have flown back in the day because it was hard to even get that kind of zany college humor, YouTube level, Funny or Die kind of mentality we got now.
Right? Yeah, because now. Yeah, we have the wealth of the internet. You can go look all this stuff up.
Hell, I miss the days of Newgrounds and finding Leroy Jenkins type videos where someone got bored one day and made a video that literally crashed the internet, you know?
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Yeah.
How do you get that now? Because that's lightning in a bottle. You can't recreate that.
No, and you can't. And and maybe you don't have to. Sometimes
you don't have,
just have
let the dead dog be. It's once in a lifetime. Let's just remember the good times instead of. I mean, I do like how some of these short films are getting traction. They're thinking of following up just wacky short films that have been kind of movie homages. Like they're doing a new Kung Fury.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, with Schwarzenegger playing the villain.
Oh, God.
So I'm just like, okay, cool. But kind of waiting a while on that. So it's like you say, the jokes are working against some comedians sometimes because we don't have patient people anymore. And it's hard to get interested when you don't know what you'll get.
No.
So
who's your bot?
It is Crow now, but Servo,
it is Crow now?
Servo is the better one. I cannot deny it because me and my siblings just wanted to hang out with him because he just seemed like everyone's granddad in robot form. He just funny uncle. And Crow, you could at least see him he actually has hands. You know, he's like C-3PO, but he's not whiny.
See, to this day, as much as I love Crow, I am still solidly in the Tom Servo category. As long as we're talking the Kevin Murphy. Kevin Murphy, Tom Servo. In fact, when I watch riff tracks, I love Kevin Murphy.
He's definitely the strongest because, Bill will play more into calling people idiots, and Mike will do impressions of people, and Kevin always stays pretty much on the tracks as, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" Just the dry remarks mixed in with the perfect pop culture and like imitations of people and bursting into music.
Oh yeah, and half of what I can enjoy riff tracks for is when Kevin actually creates music for it.
Absolutely, the Jaws
songs and
I listen to when all. What is it? When somebody loves a shark or something.
Well, I just even last night caught a little bit of their because Pluto TV's excellent for
right. It's a shortcut. You don't have to buy every single $50 one.
You don't have to do that, and Pluto TV reminds me of what I used to like about cable TV. That notion that you could find that thing that you could mindlessly turn on and enjoy. You don't have to fully pay attention, and you don't have to curate what you're watching. It's just whatever the schedule is following.
I think that's why this show has lasted so long. Some people would casually come into it. I still know many people who will go to sleep watching it, which is mind-blowing, but I get it. It was a midnight show oftentimes, so I mean, you might as well
honestly, it's part of what it's part of my nighttime routine. A lot of times I'll leave on the MST3K channel or the Riff Tracks channel as I drift off to sleep with the timer set on the TV. But no, like Kevin Murphy in general, like I was watching the one where they did it was Riff Tracks doing Space Mutiny, the live show.
Oh yeah.
and Kevin Murphy had even dressed as the captain of this ship from there, and the songs that he sang at the end of during the credit sequence and all that they were just too funny. They were amazing. So
did you see the Gorillograms where they're trying to censor the naked moments in Starship Troopers?
Any moment where there might be a little bit of an R rating to it.
And then he always jokes throughout both the film and and even in interviews for it, where he's like, how is it that everyone's offended by nudity but has no problem with people getting killed by bugs?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I always thought that was amusing. It's a strictly American culture thing. To this day, we are puritanical for whatever reason, and I do not know why. So we have this weird fascination that somehow sex is bad, but violence is good.
Yeah.
And that's the other way.
The MPAA makes no sense.
Nope, not at all. But yeah, so it's kind of funny, and kudos to the puppetry and all that or whatever, but as much as a little red spark plug kind of a character would look like a person, Kevin and Tom kind of have a look about them.
Yes.
So they go together. It's actually makes it hard for me to watch any of the more current iterations of Mystery Science Theater, because without Kevin doing the voice, Tom Servo's just not right.
Yeah, he's kind of more just for a hearty har. The two new voices, Hampton Young kind of went for sounded more like Crow, but he was going for more of just the exaggerated kind of reaction. And I get it, everyone's busy, but I'm just glad they killed all the rumors that, hey, we don't get along. And like, when did that happen?
Yeah, no, as the show ended, or as some of the cast left,
they must not like each other. No, they live in LA, Minnesota, and other places that
they're just all over the map, and some wanted to try something else for a while.
Yeah, Trace doesn't want to put his back out puppeteering anymore. I can respect that.
Yeah, totally.
When he gave that interview, it reminded me of Chris Wallace, who did the effects on Enemy Mine and Gremlins, and it's the same kind of deal. It's like, broke my damn back doing operating that thing.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the body tells you you can't do these things anymore.
I'm sure Kevin doesn't want to do it anymore, and Frank probably just wants to see the bad movies rather than pick them out and be blamed for picking a shitty movie.
Yeah, Mike and Joel always had it a little easier.
Oh, totally. Yeah, because they had to be the front man and figure out what kind of humor. You know, Joel does props and Mike does song and costumes, and
Oh yeah, no, and actually, it was one of those. I'm actually fascinated by the whole story behind everything for the most part, because like when I'm watching as a teenager and all of that at the time, I'm not paying attention to things like even the credits that roll by, and it was stunning to me as I learned more that like, yeah, Mike Nelson basically there from the beginning. He just wasn't on screen.
I always dug his various recurring characters, and including playing Michael Feinstein, the pianist.
Oh yeah,
and Torgo the White, making fun of Lord of the Rings. But if Monos, the Hands of Fate, was in a dark fantasy world, but yeah, I mean, It and Whose Line definitely reminded me how breaking into song could still be funny, even if you weren't a fan of singing growing up.
Right.
Just but the fearlessness of it is just something to behold.
Yeah, there's something about breaking out into song that's a line for
Don't
people.
quit your day job.
Yeah, like to this day, if I were to try to sing and have other people hear it, there's a creepiness about that.
Mm-hmm. It's a little morbid.
So, and maybe that's part of my fascination with the Tom Servo character and Kevin Murphy in particular, because he just does it so naturally. It just happens, and the fact that he's just good.
Have you ever seen any of his KTMA like bumpers he would do?
Oh no, I haven't.
Yeah, he did all kinds of stuff. He did a mock news report segment. He did all kinds of other stuff just to fill up content for that, and you can kind of see how the wheels were already turning in his mind, and he went for it.
Yep. No.
What do you have to lose?
And that I think that's part of what I admire, at least with him, is that he can overcome those things, and however it's going to be received, I'm gonna do it.
They have to do it, and the fact that all of them were kind of interchanging is like, okay, you direct this segment, or you help with the lights and puppetry this segment while I do.
I think that's what I was fascinated with the show overall about.
So low budget.
It's just how everybody had to contribute no matter what, and we did it all on a shoestring budget, and everything flew. I mean,
before we had Farscape, it was literally just an off-color kind of Muppets that you could still watch with kids.
Well, yeah, and then I know because Chris and I had actually gone to a convention, one of the Mystery Science Theater conventions in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it was right after they did the actual theatrical movie. So when they did This Island Earth and all that, and it was fun to meet the cast and go to Best Brains Productions, but I was always enamored with just how they put even their sets and stuff together, that they're just an amalgam of whatever they could get their hands on. I mean, the puppets alone, too, were just made out of a bunch of other stuff. So I knew I would spend time researching what were the little things that went on there. I actually own
the little things.
I actually own all the parts to make a Tom Servo. I just haven't sat down and
man, I bought a chair to build Gypsy one time, and then when COVID hit, I said, you know what? I'm going to work on my Wishmaster costume instead. I just don't have time for this.
But yeah, no, I have a box with all of the Tom Servo parts and the stuff to make him a puppet. And just haven't sat down and built him yet, but hence why I'm forever in the Tom Servo camp.
There you go. Good way to end it. But also so true. I mean, he is the easiest of the bots to build for sure. And
I
cheated. I just bought mine on eBay for $300, but yeah, I got Crow here too, and I actually prefer him more because he can be more animated with his hands and moving his eyes and mouth around. But the problem is his antenna is way more sensitive. It's a badminton, and so he's better to just stay in place versus come down stairs and carry that hard, heavy
Tom
guy.
Being fairly just a thing, almost no moving parts other than the head and the beak.
Yeah, you do have to be careful with his little string you pull that makes his mouth move because it's fragile too.
Well, yeah, because then you have to disassemble the whole thing to just get to restring it if you had to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Funny how it all works.
It is indeed.
Well, I'm glad you could be here, and I hope
appreciate the invite.
Anytime. Anything you want to plug or promote or tease that's coming out soon? That's for next year, especially.
Yeah, no, Chris and I still have to come up with a theme for next year. It was kind of funny how the way this show ended up working is.
Yes.
It is like when I came on to be his co-host, I just happened to notice as we would pick movies to watch, they started clumping into groups.
Oh, yeah.
And then that kind of evolved into, okay, well, we'll do themes for a period of time. And then we went bigger and decided to turn years into an entire theme. Mm-hmm. And so now that we've kind of started that, I'm curious what we'll come up with for next year.
Anything you can find dirt cheap on, streaming without breaking your wallet.
Well, that's the beauty of being called time shifters. Is we can do whatever we want from wherever we can.
Time shift. There's all kinds of them. I'm actually gonna sometime this month send out all kinds of movies and TV and video games to friends and podcasting colleagues in the mail because none of them are on streaming. These particular shows and Blu-rays.
Oh wow!
We're talking everything from certain Giallo Blu-rays to shows like Millennium.
Oh wow! Yeah, well, and that's the struggle right now with streaming in and of itself is that the fact that they're taking whole catalogs of stuff down.
Yeah,
like
replace in 6 months.
All signed up for this so that we could watch those things, and you're taking them away.
God damn it!
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
It is, but hopefully it'll get better, especially when they realize we need more shit.
Right.
Freebie's way better.
They want to charge more, but take away content. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you're gonna just keep losing people. At least Freebie is way better than when it was IMDb Pro or TV, where you're just like, there's way more ads than there is content. Now it's short.
It's a little more balanced. I'm enjoying that some of them are also building in the counter on how many ads they're about to show you.
The counter, and it kind of gets you more involved with the show when you go on IMDb. Can I see it on IMDb itself?
Sure.
Can I at least redirect me to 5 other sites before I find a different way to find it? And shame on all the other guys who've removed other shows that are pretty much lost in the abyss. They will never get a DVD or Blu-ray release. You're gonna have to go on the third-party sites to find them.
You brought up Freebie. Well, that's one of the things my son has become very enamored with Night Court.
Nice.
I had nowhere to find Night Court till Freebie.
Other than there, yeah.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
You might still be able to find something like Briscoe County or Firefly on there soon, but
yeah, Briscoe County I need access to again. I need to finish. I started rewatching it on somebody was streaming. I think Amazon had it for a little while, and then they pulled it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't done rewatching it yet.
And I'm holding Bruce Campbell to his word. He said, "I'm interested in revisiting that." I'm like, "You better."
Oh yeah, no, I would absolutely.
I need 3 more of that. I need something else besides doing Ash Williams for the bit of time, because that was 2.0. That was Ash Williams if he was Indiana Jones and in a steampunk western,
Right. No, that was awesome. So I'd love to see some more of that.
And we just gotta fire half these execs who don't like and don't want to own their stuff. Because like when I see Stars and Epics and even now MGM and all these other channels just canceling half their repertoire of skills and content, I'm like, why did you greenlight this if you didn't actually want it? You don't deserve the credit. You don't deserve the Emmys.
Nope, not at all.
Own it. Own it.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a Jack